Alright, hello citizens of the Nigerverse. It is Niger once again, and welcome back to System Shock Radio. So yes, I know, right off the bat, I did fall off the wagon again, but I gotta try to get back on there. I'm gonna get back on there, get back on track, get back on schedule. I'm gonna try to do daily uploads. Once again, we're gonna try to coast out through the rest of the year. Or if I do happen to take a day off or two, it won't be for too long. It won't be too many days in a row. At least I'll try not to make it too many days in a row. But I'm gonna really try to commit to the daily uploads at least until the end of the year. But in the meantime, nevertheless, it is time once again for System Shock Radio. So, as always, I got some topics for you guys today. Some ones I think you're really going to enjoy. So, if you do go on to enjoy, please hit that like button as well as leaving a comment and subscribe. Turn on those post notifications and so if you are new, of course, to System Shock Radio, welcome. But if you aren't, welcome back. But if you are indeed new here, we talk about a variety of things, including pro wrestling. We do some inspiration, some nerd stuff, so all kinds of stuff. So if that is your kind of thing, like I said, hit the subscribe button. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is that we're getting a Glover remaster. So Glover originally came out for or the Nintendo 64 and for Windows computers in 1998, and then later for PlayStation in 1999. Now this was a game that kind of flew under the radar for quite a few people. A lot of people, and what I mean is a lot of people it isn't quick to come into people's memories. There were a lot of people who enjoyed the game, of course, and it had its fans, of course, but it feels like not a lot of people had heard of the game. At least he's not back then, perhaps, but then again, it wasn't alive back then. Nevertheless, it is getting a remaster. I'm sure a lot of people are excited about that. So it's going to be coming to Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4 and 5, and then Xbox One and Xbox Series S and X. And it's going to be releasing next year in 2025. Now, apparently, according to Wiki here, or a remaster, or at least a port of Glover was announced for the aforementioned newer consoles, but I guess it didn't materialize until a couple years later here in the present day. But then again, you don't necessarily want to rush something like that. But so it being brought over to modern hardware so that us modern fans can experience Glover. So, if you were a Glover fan back then, and then here you go. But if not, like I wasn't, then I guess this would be an opportunity to finally try the game out. I heard the game was relatively fun. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I did remember hearing it does have some issues, but otherwise, I did hear it's quite a bit of fun. So, I can't wait to play that when the time comes, if I decide to pick it up, which I might, honestly. But the next thing we're going to talk about is that at the Blade movie, he has a very disappointing update. So, the Blade movie, at least the new one, in terms of the MCU, what a long winding road of development this movie has had. So, this is a movie that was supposed to come out some time ago, but kept getting pushed back, until it eventually had a release date of November 7th of 2025. But apparently that is no longer on the table. The release date was pulled. It was pulled from the 2025 release lineup, and now it effectively sits in limbo, not having a definitive release date. I guess Wesley Snipes Blade said it best in Deadpool Wolverine that he's gonna be the one and only Blade. Now how I know they have been working on this movie for quite some time, and it's to the point where he even changed directors at one point or another, if I'm not mistaken. But with this disappointing update now, a lot of people are starting to figure that perhaps this movie will not come out, which sadly does happen sometimes. When a movie sits in development for so long, or a video game, or anything for that matter, oftentimes it can be canceled from that era. It's what's called development hell, where it sits there and sits there and sits there and sits there for so long, to the point where eventually something's got to be done with it. And more often than not, it's usually dropped, abandoned completely. But we will see in the case of this movie. But so far, with the road there, it's looking as though that may be the case. But the next thing that we're going to talk about is the WWE ID program. And so this is an excerpt from WWE.com, and I'm going to read here. And this is from October 29th, so about a couple weeks ago. But WWE Today announced the launch of a first-of-its-kind developmental program designed to provide up-and-coming independent wrestlers a pathway to a potential career in WWE. The program will be called WWE ID, short for WWE Independent Development. WWE ID is the latest in our efforts to identify and support the journey of up-and-coming wrestlers, in turn raising the profile of and strengthening the independent wrestling ecosystem, said WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque. And following the 2021 launch of WWE's NIL program, WWE ID has been constructed to support independent wrestling prospects and wrestling schools with world-class training, development, and mentorship. Under the program, WWE will provide prominent independent wrestling schools with the WWE ID official designation, with the goal of providing new trainees and existing talent at these select institutions with enhanced developmental opportunities. Booker T's Reality of Wrestling, Cody Rhodes Nightmare Factory, Seth Rollins Black and Brave Academy, Elite Pro Wrestling Training Center, and Knock X Pro Academy are the first WEID independent wrestling schools to earn the official designation. Additionally, WEID will identify top independent wrestling prospects with an official WEID prospect designation and support their developmental journey by providing financial opportunity and assisting with training, mentorship, and development, including access to world-class facilities, best-in-class ring training, athletic trainers, and more. WEID will give fans the opportunity to follow the paths of these standout prospects on the independent wrestling scene through curated behind-the-scenes content, as well as highlights and matches showcased across WWE's social platforms. So, very big news there. WWE having this kind of developmental program, allowing independent wrestlers to kind of just segue their way into WWE. If you think about it, there are a large number of independent wrestlers who usually do end up in WWE at one point or another. Now, this news was met with mixed reaction. There were a lot of people who were excited. A lot of people who were excited at the prospect of a program like this for independent wrestlers, kind of getting that recognition, being able to get their foot in the door in WWE. However, there was quite a few concerns. There's a lot of people who brought up some very concerning, but also very reasonable points for why this may seem, this may have its drawbacks. Now, I'll kind of try to briefly argue both sides. On one hand, the people are saying this is a good thing, and the superstars coming in, getting the financial backing, getting a lot of the support, doing a lot of the legwork already for them to come in to WWE, to segue from the independent straight into WWE without cutting out the middleman. Oftentimes with a lot of the indie wrestlers, they'll make their name on the indies, do what they can on the indies. Then he'll build himself up from there, and then maybe come to WWE at some point, or maybe go to a different promotion and slowly work their way up before making their way to WWE. But oftentimes that'll be years, or that'll be years in the making, which isn't always a bad thing because you want to build up not only your repertoire but your reputation as well. But in the case of WID here, or at least what I'm getting out of it, is essentially cutting out that middleman. So they go right from the indie. He's right into WWE and having the backing necessary to make the transition smoother. Now the concerns, the drawbacks. A lot of people feel that this is WWE's way of kind of poaching the indie. He's in a lot of ways, which sadly WWE does have kind of a history of poaching. In a way, especially for example, with like the British wrestling scene, when NXT UK came out, and a lot of the British wrestling talent from places like Progress Wrestling, stuff like that, came in to NXT UK, Progress, or What Culture Pro Wrestling, but yeah, so a lot of people are concerned in that regard that this may be WWE's ulterior motive in a way. And even if it's necessarily not an ulterior motive of taking these talent from the indie promotions where they already are to come into the big stage of the WWE. So having its drawbacks, but also kind of having its benefits. But now the question is, what do you all think? Do you think this would be good? Are you excited to see WID? Me, I'm interested to see where it goes. I definitely can see both sides, but I am interested to see where it goes and to see how the format works out. But the next thing that we're going to talk about is that Vince McMahon is apparently starting his own new company. Oh joy! I'm just gonna read an excerpt here. This is courtesy of SportsIllustrated.com or SI.com. I should say, hey, not Sports Illustrated, but SI.com. But Vince McMahon is not throwing in the towel just yet. The former WWE chairman is in the beginning stage of creating a new entertainment company, according to a PW Insider report that broke Tuesday afternoon, October 29th. Despite his ongoing legal issues, McMahon's new venture is being described as an entertainment hub company and will reportedly focus on producing film and TV projects in the realms of fiction and nonfiction. And according to PWI's report, several ex-WWE employees, including Brad Bloom, have already offered their services to Max film and TV business. Bloom was WWE's chief operating officer under McMahon and stayed on board with the company after McMahon's second ousting earlier this year. This past May, Bloom resided after it was discovered that he was corporate officer number 2 in Janelle Grant's lawsuit, and the website accidentally crashed. There we go. Kristen Prouty, a former WWE executive instrumental in ushering Logan Paul into the WWE family, is reportedly connected to the project. She was laid off in May following Endeavor's purchase of the global pro wrestling promotion. And PW Insider source claimed that McMahon will not pursue the formation of a new pro wrestling company nor anything competitive with WWE. The company is preparing for launch should McMahon get cleared of his charges with a Los Angeles headquarters planned. And McMahon is no stranger to projects outside the pro wrestling sphere. In 1990, he created the World Bodybuilding Federation, an attempt at cornering the bodybuilding circuit. The Weider brothers, made famous with their IFBB organization's Mr. Olympia contest. The WBF shuddered amidst a cloud of McMahon's steroid trial. I'll actually leave it there. The article does further go on to mention the XWF as well, but McMahon starting a new company. This ought to be something. Now, the thing is the thing. I'm trying my best not to laugh too hard, but the thing is the the thing is, I'm conflicted. Not about the company itself. Whatever this is, I'm probably not gonna watch. But the thing is I imagine a lot of people didn't see this coming, but I'm sure there's a fair amount of people who did, because Vince McMahon probably was not gonna go quietly. He didn't even want to go from WWE quietly. He didn't want to exit WWE quietly. So him starting this new promotion, what it's gonna be for, I'm not sure yet. It's they brought up of his other ventures in the past, such as the XFL, which the article goes on to mention, or the World Bodybuilding Federation that I brought up. Yes, that was a real thing, and yes, it was probably exactly how you're imagining it right now. But Vince not wanting to step away quietly from the limelight is not surprising. As for who's going to be on board with this, who would be crazy enough to be on board with this, especially given Vince's history, I'm not entirely sure. But this will be interesting. This is gonna be something to see, not from like a entertaining, oh, I wonder what Vince McMahon's gonna be cooking up kind of thing. More so from a, okay, how bad can this really be? A kind of company, or perhaps it could be a slam dunk. I don't know. Him apparently not wanting to do another wrestling company to compete with like WWE and everything, I think is probably smart. Vince should know better than anybody that competing with WWE is a lot harder than it looks. But as for what this new company would be, I guess time will tell. Last thing I want to talk about for this episode is individuality. Now, what exactly does individuality mean, and how does it relate to us as people / individuals? So of course, as per usual, we're going to go for the dictionary definition and then go from there. So we actually have two, and both as nouns, for individuality, and the first being the quality or character of a particular person or thing that distinguishes them from others of the same kind, especially when strongly marked or separate existence. It's the first definition, and we can play with a little bit more, but at the second definition, we can kind of tie in to the first definition in a way. So, let's reread that one more time. The quality or character of a particular person or thing that distinguishes them from others of the same kind, especially when strongly marked. Or, so what I'm getting from that is being able to stand out on your own, being able to stand out as your own individual person, not necessarily falling into the background or blending in too much with others or being exactly like others. Whereas, of course, it's normal to have overlap with other people, to have common interests, common goals, common things like that with other people, and to be able to relate to other people, of course. But not to be carbon copies of one another. When you're an individual, you stand out on your own. You stand on your own on your own 2 feet, I should say. You as an individual are your own person, and with your own life and your own choices. But I think oftentimes what we do is we try too hard to blend in with others, and it's normal. I've definitely been there in my life. But what I realized is that's in the process of trying to mask myself and be exactly like everybody else. I'm not saying have the common goals or interests or anything. I'm talking about be exactly like someone else, to emulate someone else almost to a T. In the process, I lost myself, and I found myself not really being happy or content with myself, because it wasn't myself. It was this other person. And we, as individuals, we want to fit in. We want to be able to relate to other people. But sometimes we stand out. Sometimes we're different from other people. And you know what? That's okay. Because we're all unique in our own way. We have our own unique set of values and goals. And when we try too hard to relate to others to the point where it's not our authentic selves, and we lose ourselves in the process, as we essentially become shallow imitations, and if that makes any sense. And I'm not sure if this makes sense. Let me know if it is in the comments. But when we try too hard to be just like someone else because as we want to impress them and we want them to think a certain thing about us, and we lose ourselves in the process, that's when it becomes tricky to manage. It's to manage the persona that we've created just to fit in with someone else. And like I said, I've been there before, especially when I was younger and in school and everything, trying to be like everybody else, trying to have the latest things, the latest trends. But have you noticed a lot of things that were in style then aren't in style anymore, or as time goes on? But as we get older, times change and our interests change, but that's okay because we still stand out on our own. So, it's one thing to be inspired by others, to learn from others, to hone your own craft. Because as I've done that, it's not just with YouTube, but in a lot of aspects of my life. A lot of things a lot of things I inherited naturally from my parents, but a lot of behavior, there's a lot of skills and everything I've learned from others, and you know what? That's great. But be motivated, be inspired, but don't be derivative. Don't be just like them for the sake of being just like them. And because when you're just like them for the sake of being just like them, that's when you lose yourself. So try not to lose yourself. If you're unique, be unique. Stand out on your own, because you are special in your own way. The other person may be special in their own way with what they're doing, but so are you. You're special in your own way as well. So always keep that in mind. But nevertheless, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you can see it as soon as it drops. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts on anything we talked about in this episode of System Shock Radio. And if you enjoyed, and yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.